Welcome to the next Ignition Moment. These short snippets that are aimed at giving you some resources, maybe an injection into your day to bring some energy, but to give you some resources and tools to be able to navigate not just this moment, but who you are in the world going forward. Today we're going to be speaking about trust, such a deeply important human experience. The idea of trust and the experience of trust is so vital for who we are as humans. Now, trust is always important, but in a time like this, the power of trust is almost on steroids. That, if we can create and maintain trust, we will be able to see incredible things coming out of this moment and heading into a future that is not quite understood yet, but needs us to be at our best. Warren Buffett, the American gajillionaire, he says trust is like the air that we breathe. When it's there, when it's present, nobody really notices it. But when it's absent, everybody notices. Now, I agree with him, but I don't think that this short statement encompasses all the nuances of trust. You see, I don't think that we only feel trust when it's not there. I think we feel it most acutely, and we are most aware of it when it's not there. And I think that's because trust can be broken in an instant. So we see the change in trust when it's gone. But if I think about my own life, if I think about relationships that I have, I know when there is trust. I feel trust. But often when I feel it is when it clicks into the next level. Perhaps there's been an interaction with a friend or, with Debbie, where my spouse, Debbie, where there's been vulnerability, or there's been something which has taken our levels of trust into the next level. You actually feel it. So I don't think Warren's words are exactly correct. I don't think that we notice it when it's not there. I think we notice it when it changes, because trust does change. Trust fluctuates. Now, we are in an interesting time right now. We're in a moment where so much is changing, and trust is one of those things. There is trust that is being broken in this moment, and there is trust that is being built almost out of nothing, or out of the ashes of this current situation. And we're seeing it. I don't know what your experience has been, but if I think of some brands, I have almost felt myself leaning forward and drawing towards a brand because my trust for them is growing because of the way they are acting and behaving in this time. And of course, there's other organizations that are taking this moment to maybe profiteer off the situation, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and you start trusting them a little bit less. But trust is not just changing at that macro level, trusting our governments more or less, trusting a brand or an organization more or less. Even at a personal, individual level, trust is fluctuating. I don't know what your experience is right now, but I know that trust is fluctuating. Maybe with your own colleagues, your co-workers, maybe you are trusting them more because you're seeing what they are accomplishing, even though we're all in adverse circumstances. Maybe you're trusting them less. Maybe you are feeling yourself less trusted by your bosses. Maybe you're feeling more trusted. Trust is fluctuating. You are feeling it. If you just take a moment to just try and identify in your life, you will be able to see where trust is changing. Maybe if you're a leader in an organization, you have done things that have broken trust with your people. Or maybe you're taking certain actions, you're making decisions that is actually increasing trust. I don't know what your story is, as I say, but one thing is true: trust is changing, and you are experiencing it. So, which side of that equation, it's not an equation, but which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the side that is increasing in trust or decreasing in trust? There's only one answer. There is only one answer to this. If you are a human being, you want to be trusted more. If you are a human being, you want to trust more. Trust is so deeply integral to who we are. And when we are not trusted, it changes the way we think about ourselves. And when we don't trust, we don't feel safe. Nobody likes not feeling safe. There's only one answer here. We want trust. In a study done in 2002, they found that companies that were high in trust had a 300% increase in profitability, compared to companies that are low in trust. Trust is a powerful, powerful thing because it unleashes human connection, human ability. Good friend of mine, Dom Wilhelm, is a guru on trust. He works with the UN around a set of trust protocols, helping to build trust where there isn't trust, or build trust where there really needs to be trust. And I hope we can do a full-length episode at some point in the future, Mygrow episode with my mate Dom, talking about trust. But I was chatting with him about this little ignition moment that I'm doing, and I asked him for a quote, and he said, this is what he said to me. He said, trust. He said, there's a causal relationship between trust and flourishing relationships. That's in organizations and even in nations. We all need more trust. Now, as I say, he's a guru on trust. But you believe what I've just said, not because he's a guru, not because he's somehow Mr. Trust, Mr. Trustworthy man. No, you believe it because you know it. You know it to be true already because you are a human being, and human beings have relationships, and you know from your own experience that the relationships that you are in that have high trust, those are the best relationships. So, if trust is so powerful, if trust can bring flourishing, if trust can unlock potential and collaboration, how do we build it? What do we do right now in this moment where trust is fluctuating, where we want to be on the side where there is an increase in trust? What do we do to accomplish that? Well, Francis Frei is a Harvard Business School professor, and trust is one of the things that she is most passionate about. You may have come across this name, or maybe you haven't, but the thing she's most famous for, I think, recently, is going to help Uber fix their culture. Total dog show of a culture where trust had been so deeply eroded that they brought her in and they said, come, help us fix this problem. Help us build trust. And she was there for, I don't know how long, helping them build trust within that company again. And she has 3 pillars of trust. And she says, if we want to build it, we need to understand these 3 components. So they are simply empathy, rigor in logic, and authenticity. If you can get those 3 right, you can build trust. You will build trust. It is a thing humans want. So if you can get the conditions right with those 3 elements, trust will be built. And when you build it, you will unleash that human collaborative potential. Okay, so empathy, what does that mean? Empathy is actually an emotional intelligence skill. It is something that you can develop by practicing techniques to help you understand what other people are going through. Empathy, again, is one of these deeply, deeply human experiences. A shoe can't be empathetic. Even though it has a soul, it can't be empathetic. Humans are empathetic. And empathy is so vital for trust. If your colleagues, if your co-workers, maybe your subordinates, do not feel that you actually understand and care about what they are going through, that will drastically impact the trust in the entire environment. But if you can illustrate that, if you can show that, if you can communicate in such a way with a high regard for them, you may remember a previous ignition moment where we chatted about that. That is a vital leg in this tripod. Secondly, rigor in logic. What does this mean? Well, if you're a leader, let's take leaders again as an example, and you have a vision, you have a direction you want to take a group of people. Well, if that makes sense, if the logic is understandable and is rigorous, if it is something that makes sense and is compelling, that's what rigor in logic means. But if you don't really have a clear vision, if you don't have a direction you're leading them in that actually makes sense, maybe you need to, as a company, pivot and decide what you're going to do, but everyone's like, that doesn't make sense. Why are we doing that? That's a silly idea. If it isn't good logic, people aren't going to trust you. The other aspect to this is maybe it is good. Maybe your logic is flawless. You just haven't managed to communicate it very well. Well, if you can't communicate it, they can't understand it, they can't follow it. Trust will be impacted. Thirdly, authenticity. Now we have such a radar for authenticity. We can tell in an instant if somebody is being authentic or not. We are so finely tuned. So this is her advice. She says, don't try to be something else. To put it in negative terms, don't try not to be yourself. Try to be yourself. Try to be authentic and show who you really are. Because if you don't, the whole project of trust comes under attack. If any of these three components, empathy, rigor and logic, or authenticity, if any of those three are wobbly, well, trust is threatened. So in this moment, maybe you are a leader in an organization, maybe you are a follower. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody who is more trusted and more trustworthy than you were 3 months ago? Or do you want to be someone who is less trustworthy? If you want to be more, which I know you do, focus on these three things: empathy, rigor in your logic, and authenticity. Now is a time where we need to unlock the power of the human person. And that really does get unlocked in relationships, where there is health, where there is trust, essentially. Now is the time where we need to figure out how can we reignite not just ourselves, but our organizations to really take the world by the horns, to take the future by the horns, and co-create something that is going to be meaningful and have value. Well, if you want that vision, if you want that future, empathy, rigor in your logic, and authenticity. What we've been doing at Mygrow is putting together a package that can help you to develop some of these emotional intelligence skills that surround this whole world of what it is we need to be and do right now. Empathy being one of them. And a support package that goes along with what are the dynamics in this moment right now that people are facing emotionally and psychologically, that we can come alongside and help them to unlock this human potential. Trust is one of these really important things. Flourishing relationships and building trust. If you're interested to find out more about that, please email us at hello@mygrow.me. We'll be in touch. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next episode.